merchandise bags, unquote. Last week, this passed the state Senate. It was gaining momentum in the state assembly. And then, the day that the state Senate passed it, lo and behold, the assembly speaker and the city council speaker agreed to delay the October implementation until February of next year, so that the city council and the state assembly can work out a compromise on the bill. So technically it's on hold. So to me, there is no compromise to be had here. If this bill continues in any way, shape, or form, forcing retail establishment to charge New Yorkers a nickel, it should be trashed altogether. And there is no compromise or amendments to be had. But the fact that the city council was forced to delay this until February speaks volumes, because they knew, they saw the handwriting on the wall, I think, that the state assembly was going to act as well. And if the state Senate acted and the state assembly acted and passed this bill, it would veto this city council bill altogether, which should happen anyway.
What's the rationale for the bill? Is an anti-garbage pollution supposedly thing?
Yeah, Councilman Brad Landa has sponsored this bill, and the main justification for it is environmental concerns, to encourage people to use reusable bags, with the argument being that plastic bags aren't good for the environment. But the funny thing about this bill, it doesn't just charge a nickel for plastic bags, it charges a nickel for paper bags too. So I don't know how strong that argument is. You know, and Brad Landa and others say plastic bags are only single-use bags. Well, guess what? There are multiple studies that show, and I think we all would agree, they hold 90% of people use their plastic bags for other household purposes. I use it for my cat litter.
That's how we do.
You know?
I use it for my garbage. Now I have to buy garbage bags again. So where are we saving?
Right, and the garbage bags are bigger, right? And they're going to clutter the waste stream more. But here's another thing. Only less than 2% of the New York City waste stream is comprised from plastic bags. And the other thing is that plastic bags and the plastic bag industry, whether it's producing them or recycling them, provide over 30,000 American jobs, and about 1,800 New York families rely on the plastic bag industry for their weekly paychecks. Whereas reusable bags that Brad Landa wants everybody to use are largely produced overseas. I mean, our Stevie supermarkets, you know, we order reusable bags and sell, and it's like a 2-week delay in getting them because they have to be produced and shipped from overseas. So much for the Democratic Liberal City Council supporting American-made jobs.
Union jobs.
Right. So that's an update on where this bill stands now. Again, I don't think there's any room for compromise. You know, if you don't mind, before I take questions, just a couple of other issues, and specifically addressing an issue someone brought up in the back about public education. You know, to me, I don't call this I don't call the city council the city council anymore. I call it the silly council because of the type of legislation they pass. And this is really one of the reasons why I am strongly leaning towards running for the city council district in Bay Ridge again, which will be an open seat next year. In 2009, I received almost 40% of the vote, running against an entrenched incumbent, Vincent Gentili. The Republican candidate who ran 4 years ago only got 35% of the vote. I do think people are fed up with what's happening in this New York City under Mayor de Blasio and City Council Speaker Melissa Mark-Viverito. In addition to these ridiculous pieces of legislation like the bag tax, you know, let's look at the public education policies. You know, the fact is that this mayor and city council has reversed course in how students who cause problems in schools are handled. They have made a concerted effort to suspend students less. And because of that, state statistics show that there's a 24% increase in violent incidents in New York City public schools. Last year, there were almost 16,000 violent incidents in public schools, the highest in a decade. There was 48%, there was a 48% increase in serious assaults that resulted in injuries. This is right, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but to me, if you're telegraphing to students who cause problems, hey, don't worry, we're not going to suspend you, we're going to get you counseling, we're going to do whatever you got to do, to me, that's a green light that you can do whatever the heck you want to do. So right there, our public school system is going in the wrong direction. Our private school system, our charter schools, this mayor has blocked almost every single attempt to open up more charter schools. Yet the wait lists for these charter schools are through the roof. But the mayor wants to block them to protect because he's in the pocket of the public teachers union. That's wrong. So that education policy. Secondly, criminal justice policy. I think we all saw what direction we were going when de Blasio was running for mayor, where he said publicly that he had to warn his son to take special care around police.
Same like I did for my son, with blue eyes and blonde hair. Same lesson.
I take special care when I'm around cops also.
Yeah.
Because if I talk back to
Yes, sir,
them,
no,
they
sir.
will arrest me,
So
a white old man.
that's right. So I respectfully believe that we are going in the wrong direction on criminal justice policies. There was a recent poll conducted by Harper Polling, by One New York Together, that showed a majority of New Yorkers and Brooklynites specifically feel that our quality of life is going down. 55% of Brooklynites feel our quality of life is going down. I believe, and it's certainly your right to disagree, that this mayor and this city council speaker has created, through their policies and through their rhetoric, an environment that has emboldened criminals, made the jobs of cops less safe, and reduced our quality of life. When the city council speaker says that she wants to clear open warrants, she wants to erase open warrants for people who committed crimes, to me that's ridiculous. Maybe the better message is, to those who committed crimes, why not come forward and answer for your crimes? Or better yet, don't commit the crimes in the first place. Call me crazy, but that's what I believe. I do believe, I don't think we need 16,000 layers of inspectors overlooking our police department. I believe police officers, and a poll released by the PBA shows us, that police officers are more hesitant to act. They don't want to, they're afraid of being sued. They certainly know they're not going to have the support of this mayor, so they're becoming more restrained in their actions. And thus, we are seeing more quality of life crimes. We're seeing an increase, for example, of graffiti on our streets. This mayor just last year told the City Department of Transportation he got rid of a City Department of Transportation program that cleaned graffiti off of public spaces. Like, we all see graffiti, right, on street lights, on street corners. We're seeing that accumulate because this mayor said, you know what, Department of Transportation, we're no longer going to implement that program. We're going to save the money. To me, that's the wrong way to go. So again, whether it's clearing open warrants or most recently decriminalizing quality of life crimes and going back on broken windows, I think we're going in the wrong direction, and I think and New Yorkers understand this as evidenced by these polls. So, again, people can respectfully disagree, but I just sense that we're taking small steps back to the bad old days under David Dinkins.
Oh, yeah. That's basically what I gave Joe Loader his only commercial idea. Remember the one, don't take New York backwards? So I gave the idea to the campaign, a similar template of that idea, and they tweaked it a little. And I said, open up the thing with the graffiti train. So we're heading back to that direction yet again. So I guess I should also read palms and tea leaves too, because I had a feeling that we were gonna go back to the graffiti days of the graffiti trains and graffiti all over the place, that burned out buildings like the Bronx is burning, and broken windows theory, basically, because we are heading that direction. Now, getting back to the bag issue, people don't realize the cloth bags, you have to clean them out every time because there's cross-contamination.
Right, good point.
If you don't clean them out, you're gonna, when you have raw vegetables and your meat juice and whatever the heck else goes in those things, you're running a risk of getting some sort of bacterial disease from a result of that. So people don't realize you have to clean those bags out. So that's an extra burden of that.
Even once they learn that they have to do it, they won't know how to do it right.
Right.
And who has time? And who has the time when you're rushing home?
Right.
You drop it. Oh, let me make sure I carry my reusable bag. I don't need
What am
something
I?
else I carry on the train or the
What
express
am I, a
bus.
pack mule? Am I a pack mule? I need like 1,000 bags. I mean, I'm gonna start.
You need 2 gallons to wash this out times 8 million people. That's a lot of water.
There you go, word, that's right.
They did this law in San
This man
Francisco already,
is
correct?
talking
Yes?
a tempest in a
Has there been
teapot.
any studies yet?
He keeps saying,
Sir, can you wait? He's speaking
Up
to
to
sir.
sir.
I pointed.
he keeps saying that it's a tax. That's typical of a lot of politicians. They lie.
A
It's
tax
not
is
a
a
tax,
tax
and
is a
you
tax.
know it's not a tax, and you keep calling it a tax.
If I have to
The
pay
tax-
more money
the
for
money
something,
does not-
it's a tax.
I pay money for everything I buy in the store. It's not a tax.
Well, this
I'm
is-
buying something.
This is a tax.
It is not a tax. You look it up in a dictionary. It's not a tax.
It's semantics. as
They
you
didn't
said.
call it a
No,
tax
no, no,
because
no.
the state
It's a
would have to
fee.
approve it.
It's a fee. A tax goes to the municipality. A tax goes to the government.
I understand what you're saying.
That
in
is not a
in
tax.
I understand what you're saying in that technical term, but in reality, if a
Whatever
city
you
if
say,
a
that's what
city
scares
law-
people. They don't want to pay
If a-
more taxes.
If a
So when you
city
say
law-
tax,
if a
they
city-
get upset.
If a city law is imposing that a consumer now has to purchase, must
A
pay
nickel.
something, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter how little it
I
is.
just
I double bag
I
my
know
bag.
put something for myself. $30.
I double bag it.
Plus 5
I
cents.
double bag it, and some other people do it too when they.
I have
other
4
things.
bags,
But
20
anyway,
cents.
Next question, sir, please. Gary, yes.
Is there anything in this bill, in the city council bill, that prevents the grocer from giving the money back to the consumer? For example, could Christie's have a
Rebate.
weekly event in which they somehow give away all the money that they've collected from bags by having a special on soft chocolate chip cookies where they
5
give it
cents
away
off,
almost
whatever.
free?
The city council, in its infinite wisdom, and I'm being sarcastic, specifically puts something in the bill that prohibits the retailer from giving the money back. They must charge the nickel or be fined up to $500 each time.
Ah, okay. Oh,
Questions?
so they're a
Marie,
step ahead.
Marie?
Yeah.
Is there any provision in this bill for improvement in the quality of the actual bag? Because I'm gonna tell you, if I could get out of Food City and cross Third Avenue
without breaking
without the gallon of milk busting through the bag
Right.
in oncoming traffic, I wouldn't feel so bad about paying a little bit
Right.
for the bags.
The answer is no. There's nothing
Right.
in the bill about improving the plastic bags. You know, the thing that is not good for the consumer, right, is that since these plastic bags are so weak, often we have to double bag with a gallon bag.
Years
We have
ago,
to triple
A
bag.
triple bag, yeah. Years ago, you
Right.
could get a plastic bag and you could use it for 6 months,
Right.
you know?
It's true.
It's true.
And look, here's the other thing. I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about the environment or we shouldn't try to encourage reusable bags. I think we should make sure that there's an absolute educational effort to let people know that plastic bags are recyclable. Most people don't know that. I think we should absolutely encourage more retailers to allow people to recycle their bags. I think we should absolutely encourage more businesses to offer and to sell at a minimal cost reusable bags. You know, I think all that should be done. And you know what? I remember working with Grand Union in the mid-1990s when I was in college, and we actually offered a 2-cent credit for anyone who used their own bag. Maybe that's at least a better solution
Yeah.
than
Fairway
taxing
does that.
people. Yeah.
I think so.
It's not a tax.
And, I'm sorry, now with the, can't stores also have an area where you can just throw your plastic bags in?
Yes.
Christina's does.
Right, for recycling, so I think these issues could be solved easily with the environmental issue, but I don't get why they need to tell 5 cents, 5 cents, what is this? They wanna destroy an industry, that's what it is, they wanna destroy an industry.
Oh, you
With
don't
all
think
guns
so.
blazing. Maureen?
First of all, Bob, I want to thank you, because I've heard you on all of the media, and it was about time someone spoke up on our behalf. So 2 things did come to mind. I work, my office is in Mineola. So yeah, I often buy my groceries there, I'm trucking them back to New York. I'm in a car. Reusable bags in my car, sure, throw them back in the car, that's easy. They offer an option there. You can get the cheap bags that fall apart, or for 10 cents, I can buy a shopping bag that I can use for several weeks. And I do, because I'm bringing groceries, you know, upstairs, two floors up. So the option should be there. My next question, of course, always comes to mind, the sidewalk vendors. If I go and I buy, which many of us do, you're in the city, the fruit vendors, oh, this is terrific, you know, strawberries for $1, and we pack the orange shopping bags at lunch, are they gonna be paying the same amount?
No, I don't think so. I think it's
Exactly.
It'll
Exactly.
probably be put in with the food, because takeout food is not gonna be covered under
Right?
this.
Yeah, you're right.
They're trying to go after the cartons.
And it's so funny you mentioned the whole issue of street vendors, because I've been very outspoken about street vendors for a very long time. The city council, and again, city council speaker, Melissa Margarito, wants to increase the number of street vendor permits. To me, this is just not right. We have small mom and pop businesses that provide the majority of jobs. They pay the fines, they pay the taxes, they have to follow regulations, whereas none of these street vendors do. Many people, like me growing up in Bay Ridge, got our first jobs working for mom and pop stores. But sometimes these street vendors are literally parked right out front of a store that sells the exact same goods. And they're able to sell those goods cheaper because they don't have that same overhead cost. So to me, we certainly should not be increasing the number of street vendors. We should be looking to place tighter regulations on them. And one common sense one to me would be prohibiting them from being within 500 feet of a establishment that sells the exact same goods.
Bob, I used to work on 85th Street, 3rd in the city. Of course, went to Bristides all the time. I'm a big fan of John Katzmatidis. I think he's one of the most generous men. And you know, came from the, you know, with nothing and made this.
Sure.
Now, he pays taxes, he employs how many people? He adds to the community, adds to the neighborhood, as most business owners do.
Let's make him
And you're
mayor.
right, he would be here at Bristides, right in front of his sidewalk. So his fruit was here, his flowers, right here, a guy selling them a quarter of the price,
Right now-
a third of the price.
Right now, we have fruit vendors at many of
It's
our
horrible.
locations.
Yeah, you should not be able to sell what I sell on my sidewalk when I am a brick and mortar store
Right.
paying all the taxes, and you're collecting cash and there's no regulation.
And
It's
look,
horrible.
And it's not just John Katz and Peter's supermarkets, right?
No, it's not.
It's the mom and pop store owners who only have 1 or 2 businesses who rely on that for their livelihood and for the jobs that they provide in their community. In Bay Ridge, along 86th Street, we have a business improvement district. And, you know, there was a huge movement a while ago to make that a street vendor-free zone, because often these street vendors, A, unfair competition to brick and mortar stores, but also they don't have health regulations. They don't have sinks and they're selling us produce.
Exactly.
There's something wrong there. And often they'll increase litter, and also they'll create a pedestrian blockade, especially for people with baby carriages. You can't through the street, get through the
I
streets
agree
anymore.
with
Let me
you.
also add that, in addition, I'm in the Community
I
Board 6,
agree
which I
with
am a
you.
committee
for
member.
change.
This question also came up in reference to the street vendor.
How's my friend Craig having it?
Not only are they trying to increase the number of vendors, but they're also trying to deregulate where the vendors are going. So right now, we have one street vendor in a corner. If all this process is going through, we can have 10 street vendors on the same block. And by taking away the rules, they can't even line up in residential area. So outside your front door, a street vendor can park. So I don't agree with that idea.
Also, does this law state that it's any retail store, so regular mom and pop stores, they don't have to charge the
No,
customer?
any retail, anyone.
Oh, anyone,
Would I
so
use
even
the
mom
place?
and pop